Dana was the mother goddess of Tuatha De Danann, the queen of the fairies. Dagda was their father and hammer god of Irish law. Danu fertilized the great oak tree, Bile, which sprang into the pantheon of gods, the Tuatha De Danann. Bran the Blessed was a giant, and Finn MacCool in Arthurian lore was a giant. Both descended from De Danann along with Arthur. Celts believed deities were their ancestors and not their creators, tracing their genealogies back through Celt, Scythes, Albion, and Gog giants. These were the blond or red-haired, blue or green-eyed, fair-skinned descendants of the noble Elven Celts. Celtic kings were always ceremonially wed with mother goddesses. The Druids then kept these genealogies of Irish kings stretching back into the mists of time. Danu, known variously as Don and Anu, was the mother goddess of fertility, Isis, and the matriarch of Mabinogion, the dynastic kingdoms and bloodlines of Wales that produced the Arthur kingship. Hence, all Grail kingships and genealogies trace back, in part, to the mysterious fairy tribe of Tuatha De Danaan of Ireland and northern Germany, to which the little-known Norse Rex Deus are originally connected. Originating Celts were Indo-Europeans and the same race as Hittites, Hurrians and Aryans, all giants. The Otherworld. The place where the Tuatha De Danann were exiled, is analogous parallel universes. Dagda, the male god of Diana, divided up all the Scythes portals from the Otherworld among his people of De Danann. Only fairy women had access to the gates or fairy mounds, called Scythes by Fergus Fleming, connecting this world with the Otherworld. These Scythes marked the entrance to the Otherworld, the entrance to the empire of the Tuatha De Danann, the land of evil, fairies, and rebellion. It was the god Mananwen, god of the sea, Poseidon, who originally created the Scythes. House of Stuart All Bloods Unicorn. Irish fairy blood originated from Tuatha De Danann. They interbrew with migrated, Aryan, Celts, the lost tribes of Israel from the daughter of Zedekiah, Tamar, and Scotta, as well as the Scythians, who then interbred with the alleged descendants of Jesus in England, along with the Sarmatians of Scythia. They, in turn, interbred with the alleged descendants of Jesus in France, who had interbred with Scythian and Benjamite royal blood, and the Nordic, Elven blood of the fairies. They all then united into the Arthurian bloodline that Rex Deus-Essenes married into. All these bloodlines culminated in the Unicorn House of Stuart, one of the likely bloodlines to produce the Antichrist. These genealogies are all fairy blood and dragon blood. Fairies are famous in Irish and Brittany lore as shining beings, just as Nephilim, Anunnaki and fallen angels are renowned as the Shining Ones. Gardner notes that the ancient Fobolg race of the Labour Gabilar were actually druids and priest kings, and one of the three royal bloodlines of the Scythians, along with the Tuatha De Danann. Tuatha De Danann was the ancient fairy court. They were the ancient ones from the land of youth that is reflected in Neverland's youthful immortality in Peter Pan. Fairies were the shining ones of the kingly Cathar Elven race descended from the Tuatha De Danann. Fairies are always regarded in angelic or demonic terms, good fairies like the tooth fairy or evil, such as trolls and goblins. All Celtic cultures believe original, heavenly, fairies were fallen angels driven from heaven along with Lucifer and that they are the dark angels not committed to the abyss. Antediluvian world. Earthborn fairies were not like Tolkien, or Narnia, elves or fairies, nor were they similar to elves portrayed in fairy tales. Earthborn fairies were much larger and more powerful beings. Narnian and Tolkien literature reflect the antediluvian age when humans dwelled with dragons, giants, centaurs, fairies and mermaids, alongside other, smaller humanoids, like dwarves, nymphs, sylphs, and unicorns. Semi-divine shining beings were offspring of the heavenly fairies angels. It is thought that the Roman Church originally and purposefully degraded the legacy of Tuatha De Danann, designating them the little ones of mythology. Gnostics readily accepted and embedded this misdirection into their arcane symbolism for fairy grail ring literature, liberally sprinkling Tuatha with the little beings of antiquity. Thus, dark angels with wings were shrunk figuratively to miniature fairies with wings. Along this line of thought, fairy is rooted in the word fair, or pharaoh, meaning pharaohs, who are part of dragon and ringlord culture as the kings of fate, or fairy kings. The Tuatha De Danann were regarded in this lore as the world's most noble race, alongside dynastic Egyptian kings. For all these heretofore seemingly obscure reasons, Scotta was sent with her royal, Scythian husband to Ireland to interbreed with the noble Elven bloodlines of the Tuatha De Danann after the fall of the Amarna. Tuatha De Danann mythologies are memories of opalescent fallen angels and the shining Nephilim offspring they produced. Tuatha De Danann excelled over all other peoples of the earth in the proficiency of every art. They were giants called gods that were thought to have originated in heaven. They came to the earth with a great treasure trove of knowledge. They were acknowledged as the ever-living ones who displaced the deformed giant Fomorians. Tuatha intermarried with Fomorians giants who may have been the remnants of the antediluvian Cyclops species. The Tuatha De Danann, too, were originally called the She-folk, or fairies, along with the Furbolg and some Miletians, which combined to form the fairy tribe. Post-Diluvian Tuatha hailed from Scythia and were also known as royal Scythes, the original fairies of history. The Tuatha then traversed the Danube River, settling in Germany before migrating onwards to Norway and Ireland. The latter Tuatha De Danann remnant was likely part of the surviving tribe of giants that had intermingled with their Scythian Japhethian collaborators. Therefore, the genuine Tuatha legacy dates back beyond the invasion of Ireland and back to the epoch of Titans and Atlantis.